Hey guys, how are you doing today? Hopefully everybody's doing great. So today what I want to do is I want to teach you and spread some awareness on how you can actually get the universe, right? Or manifestation to work easily in your favor. So you can really avoid a lot of like the pitfalls, the heartbreaks, anything when it comes to creating your world. So I'm going to teach you now how to manifest in a state of allowance. So allow what you want to come to you, and then you can release a lot of resistance. So that's going to save you a whole bunch of time. It's going to make things come to you a lot faster, and you're just going to, you're just going to flow. It seems like magic. And the reason I'm so excited about this is because I learned from this and I started doing this, and it started paying off huge, 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 huge. So let's get into it. So I'm going to show you how to manifest and get things to come to your life and be more successful in whatever you want. All right, so let's begin. So what we're going to do is we have to know a little bit of law of the universe, right? How things manifest and come into our life. So the law of creation, quantum physics, etc. So we actually live, or we exist primarily in this universe, and this universe really works with flow and allowance. Anytime we try to like force and push and create, we're actually working backwards. Look, I know that sounds so counterintuitive because we were all taught, growing up, schooling, and to get what we want, we have to work hard and push. Yes, but you have to know to balance it, because see, that's the trick about all this. If you don't know how to balance this stuff, you're gonna mess up all the time. So let me show you the two keys to balance them. Okay, is you can manifest from what's called the lower self, and you can manifest from the higher self. So yes, did you know that you can manifest from your ego? Yeah, and you can manifest from your higher self. But the difference when you manifest from your higher self is you'll have more peace, you'll have more success, you'll have more happiness, and you'll have more abundance. When you manifest from your lower self or your ego, you will get what you want, but you won't have that much peace, you won't be happy, and it won't last. Because what happens is, anytime we manifest something from our lower self or our ego, what happens is when we get that thing, we're like this. Oh man, that's all it was? I thought it would be this way, I thought it would be that way. It never turns out the way you imagine it. So let's show you how they interact and how you can differentiate to know which one is which, so that you don't have to push or work hard. All right, so when it comes to manifesting from the lower self, we'll talk about the lower self. And first of all, the reason you can manifest from both higher self and lower self is because free will. Your conscious mind is very intelligent. So because it's intelligent, it uses your free will, so it can think, it can analyze, and that's what we call willpower. So whenever you manifest something from the lower self, there's always going to be challenges. This is important because those challenges are coming from your higher self. Your higher self is saying to you, hey, don't go that way. You're going to have too much stress, and you may get what you want, but I'm telling you, it's not worth it. Now, here's where we mess up. We think we take those challenges as the universe testing us and telling us that, hey, it's part of the process. You got to go challenges. You got to push. You got to force. No. The universe never works that way. Let me repeat something to you. And this a lot of people, a lot of individuals may not get this, but I'm going to make sure you get it today. Remember that in life, nothing struggles. And I say this before. The trees and the grass, they never struggle to grow. The rain, it never struggles to fall. Energy never struggles. Energy is a constant wave of movement. If you try to block energy, what it does? It changes and transforms and comes around. So there's nothing that is stopping. So remember that. That's the first law of thermodynamics. So this is all things we were taught in school and process. Now look, this is where the balance comes in. Now there's certain things, yeah, you're gonna have to do to work hard, but you have to know when you're working hard or smart. So here's the formula. when you're manifesting from lower self, and every time you try to do something, you get an obstacle. But your lower self says, hey man, it's part of the process. It's the universe. Your lower self is smart. It knows about the universe. It knows that, hey, you're spiritual now. You're practicing the spirituality. You're learning how the universe works. It can see everything. So it's going to use what it has to talk to you and to get its way. And say, hey man, that's the universe, man. That's the universe telling us we have to push hard. So you get one obstacle, okay, you push. You get another obstacle, you push. And then you will eventually get what you want, right? But how many of you, when you finally get it, you feel worn out? It's never what it is. It doesn't turn out the way you want, and it doesn't last too long. Boom! I can guarantee you. You can comment below, and you can see that every time. That's lower self manifestation. So here's the first big tip. Whenever we're going to manifest something, or whenever we want to create something, if we meet challenges, or there's always obstacle, that is higher self. That's the universe or your higher self saying, I am redirecting you. That's where you gotta get the light bulb gotta go off and say, bing, 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 bing. Wait a minute. Man, that Mark says that's lower self stuff. All right, so let me just relax and then see what my higher self allows. See that? Now you're not faced with heartache, with stress, with pushing, because you know your lower self or your ego, it's very determined. And when it starts something, it wants to see the results. And it'll do anything to get that result. So we'll use challenges. And we've all been there before, right? How about we've all been pushing for the same thing for years and years, or trying to do something for months, and it just never turned out. And you're like, man, every time I try to do this, it doesn't. And if you do, you push it and you force it and you get it, it doesn't last. Okay? So that's lower self manifestation. So we want to avoid lower self manifestation. Ego manifestation is all about self gratification. I deserve this. I can do this. I need this. I can't lose this. And it sees challenges as the universe. It will say to you, the universe is just testing you. No, it doesn't work that way. Here's how the universe tests you. The universe tests you by putting obstacles to tell you to go another direction. The universe doesn't test you by putting obstacles and say, hey man, you got to keep beating these obstacles to get there. It doesn't work like that. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but this is all so simple. It's a game. We make it harder than it is. So let's move to the higher self manifestation, and I'll show you how it works. All right. Higher self manifestation now is all about allowance. So what you want to do when it comes to higher self manifestation now is notice when you're manifesting and if you're meeting obstacles. When you meet obstacles, you want to change direction. So what if you don't know what to do? You don't do anything. You just sit back, you talk, and you wait for the next step to go. And then you follow those steps, and then as you follow them, boom, you're going to get your goal. So anytime we're manifesting from a higher self, you'll always feel feelings are involved here. So here are feelings. When you're manifesting from higher self, you're going to feel more peace, more natural, more flow, and it's going to feel organic. That's the best way I can put it. It's just going to feel more organic. And then you just let it go, and it comes in so much faster because you're not meeting resistance. See that? So now you eliminate all that what? Pain, hurt, and struggle. All right, so let me give you a perfect example of this in real life, in my life. Okay, so before I got into my calling and spirituality, I was a executive chef, like a sous chef. So I remember a particular time when the universe was calling me and said, hey man, it's time for you to go out and do it and start to teach and start to help people. You know, that's when I started to win the lottery and all this stuff, and all this, like, what we call trippy things started happening in my life, but I was still working as a chef. So I remember one time at the hotel I was working at, the executive chef, we were real close, he got transferred. They brought a new chef in, and this new chef just didn't like me, man, for some reason. I don't know what it was, but I found out. I'll put it together and I'll show you this. So this chef would always be on my case. I'll be home. This guy would this top exec, he would send me pictures of the cooler or the storage unit that the some of the employees didn't clean. I was supposed to get them to clean it, and they didn't clean it, but it was a small stuff. And I was like, why is this guy on my case? So anyway, I was like, man, maybe the universe is telling you it's time to move on, right? So whatever I kept doing, there was an obstacle there, but I kept pushing through the obstacle. See, so that was my higher self saying, hey Mark, it may be time for you to leave this and go into doing what you're supposed to do. See, my ego was in there though. My ego was just fighting and said, no, I got to continue. My ego got to the point where it says, man, just go get another job, because I have a lot of friends that, you know, own the hotels and they're, so I called one of my friends and I said, hey, I'm thinking about leaving. He says, yeah, come down, man. He says, I got this resort, it's on a golf course, and you can work down here with me. And I was like, oh, first he wanted me to go to, I think, the Bahamas, because they had these resorts. He's like, hey, you want to work for like 6 to 8 months, all paid, make a lot of money there, you just save your money. And I was like, I don't know. He says, I see you have anything here? He says, yeah, I got something down in Miami. So okay, I went down there. So on the day 2, the interview with the owner of the resort, because you have to interview with the owner of the resort. So I'm there going down to get my resort. Guess what happens? On the I-95, my interview was supposed to be like, I think 10:30. There was a tractor trailer that flipped over. The way the trailer flipped over, it blocked all 6 lanes. Like, it was horizontal like this. And I was like, man, I can't win for losing. But again, that was the universe putting obstacles and telling me, Mark, this part of your story is over. Move on. You don't have to go back to being a chef, or this is not what you came here for. I want you to go out and start to do this. But I couldn't see it. See, my ego kept pushing me. See what I'm showing you? How obstacles kept coming in. The day of the interview, what's the chances a semi-truck flips over a 6-lane, blocks it? So I missed the interview. I was like, man, what's going on? I said, is the universe like messing with me? What's here, man? You know, universe don't want me to get this. But at that time, I didn't understand this law. See, now in hindsight, I can see the whole picture. I can see the whole 4-dimensional map now and see what was happening. So I tried again. I kept getting blocked. I kept trying to push. And I got to the point where I said, all right, man, I just got to let this go, because this ain't working. And then when I let it go, everything else opened up for me. Now I knew what I was supposed to do, and I started my own thing, and everything just flowed from there on. That's the perfect example of lower self and higher self manifestation. Now, some of us, I could have continued to push, and I could probably went there and got that job or that gig, but I can guarantee you when I got it, something was going to happen. I wasn't going to be happy there, or whatever it was. It just wasn't going to be fulfilling as I thought. So that's the key. Always look at these obstacles as redirection, because it's putting you in another direction, and it'll make things a lot easier for you to manifest. So there you have it, guys. That's life-changing right there. If you can master this ritual, this technique, or master this awareness, your whole life will change, because everything now will flow to you instead of you trying to run and grab it, because the universe does not work that way. The biggest point I want you to get from this lesson here is this. You got to remember this, that there's a difference between working hard and working smart. Differences between the ego and higher self. Whenever you meet constant obstacles or setbacks, it's time for you to change. Don't get into the game and let your ego run, because yeah, you can eventually manifest it, but it won't be what you want. So always remember, you want to manifest from higher self. You want to use the lower self to recognize the obstacles, or if the universe is saying, hey, this is not for you. That's the purpose of the lower self. The lower self is to give you an indication of whether you're moving in the right direction. So whenever you're moving in the right direction using lower self, you're going to get obstacles. That's the higher self saying, come this way. Got it? That's the secret. Thank you, guys.